Hello guys, I hope everyone's having a great day today. Today's topic is going to be different than what I normally do. I know that my stuff can kind of be random, but I felt it was important to touch on this topic because it's something that has been so prevalent to me in my life. As many of you may know, or some of you may know, I was a Mormon. And I'm just letting you know that about a year ago I came out of Mormonism. I thank God every day that He showed me the light and that He showed me the truth. And that I was led on this journey to seek after the truth and to study and diligently research the history of the church and the validity of the doctrine of the church. Now I must tell you up front that this faith journey has been full of a lot of ups and downs. It has been a huge emotional roller coaster. I can't even begin to describe to you how much of an emotional roller coaster it has been. I was a Mormon from the time I was born up until I was about 35. I'm 36 now. And about 2 years ago is when I started really diligently looking into the history of the church, and I started seeking materials that were not just presented from the church. Now, you guys may not know, those of you who were not Mormons or are not Mormons, you may not know that the church discourages members of its church from looking at sources outside of the church for historical truth. They highly discourage you looking at sources aside from what they produce. I mean, that one thing right there should be a big enough sign that throws up red flags that say, what? But, you know, to most members of the Mormon church, it's not a red flag. But basically what happened for me is I saw a video from a CES fireside, which is a church education system fireside on the book of Abraham, which disturbed me greatly because basically the conclusion is the book of Abraham was a completely made up book. Joseph Smith fabricated it. He claimed it to be a translation of Egyptian texts from a scroll that was buried with a mummy. And he claimed it to be the story of Abraham. He said the exact characters, the translations were from the actual characters, and it was written from the hand of Abraham. And that was completely proven to be false. We have the Rosetta Stone and we have Egyptologists who know what that scroll says. They know what the characters meant and mean. And we can know for a fact that Joseph Smith lied about it and that he made it up. And because this truth has come to the surface, the church and apologists of the church have come forth and tried to excuse it away and give some other reason as to how it was created. But we know when we dig into the actual history and the actual evidence and the documentation that exists out there, we can know for a fact that Joseph Smith legitimately claimed that his translation was of the scrolls and the characters that were there. We know that it's a false document, that it's a false interpretation. We know it for a fact. And that, although in that CS Fireside they didn't come out and say it's not true, it really threw up a lot of red flags for me. And so I knew at that point that it was my obligation to go seek research and study into the history of the church, because I knew that what I had been taught wasn't accurate and that I did not have the full picture. And I believe in truth. I believe in truth greatly. It means so much to me. It means so much to me that I would risk losing my faith in the church I believed in if the truth revealed that it wasn't true. If my study pointed to the reality that the church wasn't true. I care about truth more than I did my own belief or do my own belief, because the truth matters. Whatever the truth is, I want the knowledge of that. And so today's subject, which can be a touchy one for Mormons, is the subject of Joseph Smith and polygamy. Joseph Smith was the founder of the Mormon Church. It's also known as the LDS Church, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he had many wives. Now, growing up, I knew that Joseph Smith practiced polygamy. I knew that he had more than one wife. But what the church intentionally does is they leave out important aspects of the polygamous relationships Joseph Smith had. They leave out critical aspects that matter. They matter so much. The truth matters so much. And this one subject alone should be enough for a Mormon to see, to look into, to research, and to come to the conclusion that the church cannot possibly be true just from these simple facts alone and this information alone. 7 wives that Joseph Smith was married to were under the age of 18. 2 of them were 16, 3 of them were 17, 1 was 15, and 1 was 14. One of them in that group was part of a sister pair, so Joseph Smith was married to 2 sisters. One of them was under the age of 18, the other one was not. They were already an adult. Now, in today's time, that would be classified as a pedophile. It is disgusting and it is wrong. And the truth about this fact matters. Now, one thing the LDS Church, once you start to dig into the apologist aspect of it, one thing that they will do is they try and sugarcoat things. They do this a lot, where they will sugarcoat the truth for what it is. And they will paint the picture to be a one-sided picture in favor of the church. And I have a problem with that. Because instead of saying, oh, this is the information we have, these are the facts surrounding it, and this is the truth, and we are admitting to it, they try and twist it to make it be okay that it was like this. They'll teach that back in that time of Joseph Smith, that it was normal for a 14-year-old to be married. That it was normal for a 14-year-old to be married to a 30-plus-year-old. And the fact is, if you dig in to the history surrounding that time period, that's an absolute lie. It is not true. Not even back then was it normal for people, for women, girls, to be married at that young of an age. It did happen on occasion, but it was not normal. And to say that it is normal is a flat out lie. You're being deceptive. You're not being honest with yourself. And it is important that you are honest with yourself. The truth matters over your beliefs. Now, these sections that you see highlighted in green, those are sister pairs. So Joseph Smith was married to 3 sister pairs, 6 women in total. It's kind of gross. Not kind of gross, that is gross. This area right here that you see in the pink and red, that is a mother-daughter pair. So Joseph Smith was married to a mom and a daughter, and her daughter. That is disgusting. One thing I'll point out is Joseph Smith's first wife was Emma. She caught Joseph Smith having sex with Fanny Alger in a barn. And then he came up with the excuse to try and hide his sins and excuse it away, saying that he received a revelation from God saying that he needs to practice polygamy, saying that he was commanded to marry more than one woman. If you look at the history, you will see that the doctrine of polygamy did not come forth until after he was caught. Now, this section where you see in green and purple, those wives were just normal polygamous relationships aside from the ones that are the sister pairs. That was just a typical polygamous relationship. He had 34 wives in total. That can be confirmed. Now, another disturbing factor that we need to touch on is Joseph Smith was also married to 11 women who were still married to other men, living men. Not deceased men, but living men. So not only was Joseph Smith married to other women, but 11 of those women were still married to other men. So it was a polygamous, polyandrous relationship. Most of these men didn't even know that Joseph Smith was married to their wife. And an even more disturbing part of this is 3 of those men who were married to the woman that Joseph Smith was married to, Joseph Smith had sent 3 of them off on missions to teach the gospel to different places around the world. 3 of those men he sent off on missions. He sent them away, and while they were away, he married their wives. Could you imagine believing in a man and what he teaches, and believing in him so much that you're willing to do what he asks, to go and teach what he came up with, and then to come home and find out that he was married to your wife? How horrible would that be? Now, I'm not sure if when they came home, I'm not sure if they knew that he was married to their wife or not. I believe on one of them for sure that they did find that out, but I don't know if all of them did. And again, I don't know if all of these men knew that Joseph Smith was married to their wife either. I know that some did, but I can't confirm that all were. In either case, it's wrong. It's sad, it's disturbing, and it matters. The truth of these things absolutely matters, and they matter greatly because they can speak to the character of this man, Joseph Smith. And these things are not normal. These things are not okay, and they do matter. And it is an evil thing to do. God even speaks against it in the Bible. He explicitly speaks against it in the Bible. And that very fact alone right there, if you know the doctrines of the Bible and you believe them, that very fact alone should lead you away from the Mormon Church. Now, I want to thank again all those who have brought forth materials and study and research, dug into journals, newspaper articles, and the history surrounding these things. I want to thank them, thank all who have participated in that role for doing so. This particular document that we're looking at can be found on www.cesletter.org/polygamy/55. I'll put a link to that in the description so that you can see this document for yourself. But I wanted to share this with you guys. This is part of my faith journey. These are some things that I came to know in that faith journey, and I feel like it is my obligation to share this stuff because the truth matters, and it matters greatly. And the truth always matters more than your belief. I hope everyone has a great night.